Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and the She-Hulk finale revealed the man behind the curtain of the MCU is actually not a man at all, but an AI robot named Kevin, parodying Marvel head Kevin Feige down to the ball cap. Knowledge-enhanced visual interconnectivity Nexus. Jen Walters busts out of the Disney Plus homepage into Marvel's assembled making of documentary, suggesting this break into the fourth wall is meant to be interpreted as her entering our world, as her breaking out of the panels of the comics was meant to be seen. But the more you look past that ball cap to look at the other features of K.E.V.I.N's design and the way he functions in this world, we inevitably arrive at the question, who built Kevin? Whose interest does he truly serve? In this video, I will prove to you that Kevin was built and is operated by the truly special K of the MCU, Kang. I mean, would you prefer the whole MCU to be the orchestration of machine or man? Your mind was probably already made up before you tapped on this video, but I am telling you, there is some compelling evidence. Now, you could just simply see Kevin as meta self-satire, another algorithm operated by a studio to make data-driven programming decisions, serving the interest of investors and viewers. Well, not even viewers, like tranches of viewers. But I'm sorry to state the obvious, but even the real world as presented in the She-Hulk finale is not the real world. I know, mind blown. In our world, Marvel Studios is run by a human, not by a robot. And while She-Hulk showrunner Jessica Gao cameos in the writer's room, the She-Hulk series was written not by an in-person writing staff in an office on the Disney lot, but actually written remotely in a work-from-home setup. So this room never existed like this. The reality that Jen Walters wanders around on Disney's Burbank studio lot is a well-crafted parody of our real world, but at the end of the day, it remains a fictional reality, a reality somewhere within the MCU multiverse, and therefore it is not bound by the rules and logic of our world. From the moment I finished the She-Hulk finale, I couldn't help but feel a parallel between this and the finale of Loki. Both episodes end their seasons with mind-blowing meta reveals that everything in the hero's world was pre-scripted by a mysterious, all-knowing weirdo hidden away in a fortress that the hero must fight their way into, and then engage this Wizard of Oz figure not with their fists, but an intellectual debate based on the extent of the hero's free will. And despite an apparent victory, the hero ends the episode reacting in bafflement upon seeing the master planner's wishes carried out anyway. And while She-Hulk's finale takes her down quite a rabbit hole into this hell based on the real world of the viewer, the Loki finale did pull a similar meta move. If you remember, it opened on a Marvel Studios title card that echoed with famous quotes from real world history and real world music as we ascended up from one black hole and then back down another black hole, just like She-Hulk comes from one meta portal and goes down into another meta portal. Now, the key difference is that while Loki's villain, He Who Remains, was a human who used an artificial facade, robotic timekeepers, and whatever the hell Miss Minutes was, Kevin is essentially the inverse. What Jen thinks will be a human, but is actually an artificial intelligence using a human facade. But despite the artificiality of Kevin, there are a lot of interesting things going on with his design. We mentioned the signature Kevin Feige ball cap. He has red, green, blue lights, like the red, green, blue base colors and pixels of digital screens. He's attached by an appendage that lowers from the ceiling like he's a trapped prisoner in this vault. And on his back are two revolving wheels that look like the reels of a film projector. Overall, this guy is beat up and motorized, like this tech is a bit dated. And on his side is a display screen that reads quality analysis, success analysis, micro CPU, board status, stabilizer, arm control, and listings for box office, Marvel, and Midnight, referring to opening night box office numbers. But it's not so much what these things are saying, it's how they are displaying them. The black screen and digital text is the same typeface as every computer screen we see in the TVA and Loki. The training test that Loki takes at the top of episode 2, the time bomb locations and dates that Renslayer sees at the end of episode 2, and every Nexus point location and date that scrolls across the ticker. The only difference is that the TVA text is orange colored, this text is white, but otherwise it is the same black background and the same blocky font. Also worth noting how Kevin functions and how similar it is to what the TVA essentially does. Now, visual effects are getting so good that you can practically smell what you're watching. But if you'd like to smell something more appealing than a sweaty superhero suit, Scentbird's got you covered. Scentbird is reimagining everything about how people discover, shop for, purchase, and even experience fragrances. Scentbird is a great place to begin or deepen your relationship with fragrances. Scentbird lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month just for $17. And every month you get to pick what you'd want to receive, so there are no surprises. They have perfumes and colognes and a lot of unisex options. With each fragrance, you'll get a 30-day supply, so you can try out fragrances before committing to a full-size bottle. A bottle that could cost you over $150, and some are even $300 to $500. Scentbird carries brands like Prada, Gucci, Versace, as well as indie labels like Skylar, Heretic, and Confessions of Rebel. Scentbird believes that your fragrance is an opportunity to express your individuality, and their wide selection gives each and every person the power to express themselves through fragrance. This month, I got Brit for Men by Burberry, the One for Men from Dolce & Gabbana, and the Dylan Blue Pour Homme from Versace. So let's try this Dylan Blue fragrance. Ooh. Oh man. Oh man. Is this what being a grown-up smells like? I'm so scared, but also so excited, so exhilarated.
Why is my voice so deep?
No, for real though, this Dylan Blue fragrance is awesome. And the card gives you the scent profile. Hits you with a bit of grapefruit and bergamot, but then like settles you down to a warm bed of black pepper and patchouli. It makes me feel, dare I say, debonair. If you're in the US or Canada, you can get started on finding your fragrance with Scentbird for just a little over $7 for your first month. Click the link in the description below and use the coupon code NR3 for 55% off. Kevin uses an algorithm to write all MCU storylines. The TVA does the same thing from a script written by He Who Remains. And we see this with every iconic shot in the MCU suggested to be storyboarded by Kevin, evidenced by that highlight reel that Jen sees as she walks into the vault. However, let's not forget that the TVA has the same exact footage. In episode 1, Mobius uses a film projector to show Loki what his life would have been in the 616 MCU history. We see footage from the 2012 Avengers, from Thor the Dark World, Thor Ragnarok, and Avengers Infinity War, but this history was not shown from any like objective God's eye view of it, or from the point of view of the Loki himself, but using the same exact camera angles, same exact cinematography, and same exact editing as the choices of the filmmakers who made those movies. Joss Whedon, Alan Taylor, Taika Waititi, and the Russo brothers. So TVA archive footage is the same literal footage that Kevin designs. Kevin also edits plot lines with the precision that the TVA prunes Nexus branches out of existence.
Well, can we not do Todd gets Hulk powers? Like, the powers aren't the villain. He is.
Erasing blood plot.
What is erasing Todd's Hulk blood subplot if not pruning it from She-Hulk's timeline? There's also this idea of using robots at all. He Who Remains ran the TVA using AI robots just like this. The Timekeepers were robotic puppets, and then there was that robot that declothed Loki in episode 1. Like Kevin, that robot was suspended with loose wires, had chipped paint, and these thin clasping arms. That of course is what Kevin stands for, Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus. Nexus as in Nexus points. Even in his name is the same internal company language coined by He Who Remains for the TVA. Lastly, there are Kevin's eyepieces. The red, green, and blue lights are not cameras or photoreceptors. They are lights that project light outward. They actually remind me of the projectors on the Stark drones, which can project any three-dimensional object. So what are these things projecting or designed to project? I mean, really, the possibilities are endless. Ah! Yes, Miss Minutes, a mysteriously disembodied sentient AI who occupies physical space, but with no visible light source projecting her into that space. We still don't really have answers to what Miss Minutes is, only that she's an asset controlled by He Who Remains. An unofficial Miss Minutes Twitter account tweeted, "Kevin's a good friend of mine." Again, it's unofficial, but the writer of Loki and Multiverse of Madness and Secret Wars, Michael Waldron, follows this account, so I don't know. But at the end of the day, it would not surprise me if Miss Minutes and Kevin were connected, because there's only room for one in-universe master clockmaker in the MCU, and we can choose to view Kevin as nothing more than a meta bit of satire to heighten She-Hulk's breaking to the fourth wall. But robots are built by people. I choose to live in a world with human accountability, with ghosts in the machine, and with deuses and the Deus Ex Machinas. For every Ultron, there's a Tony Stark. For every Zola algorithm, there's a Zola. And I think for every Kevin, there is a Kang. A Kang who scripted every word of Jen Walters' fourth wall breaking and scripted a path for her to break into a real world that was actually a pocket reality of his design. To, like drawing Neo into the screen-walled room of the architect, give the hero the illusion of choice, but keep them on the path that you already laid out for them anyway. Let me know what you think of this theory, and you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. And thanks again to Scentbird for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Bye.